Hello and welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Bled, and Said. We are very excited. Our guest today is Tatiana Scholte-Bonne, who is the author of Such Lovely Skin and the soon to be released The Mean Ones, both of which are a couple of our favorite books from the past couple of years. So, welcome and thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Adam was like gushing over Such Lovely
Oh,
Skin
man.
like many a times. And I had to be like, please stop, because you're gonna tell me too much and then I'm not gonna be able to read it, or I will already feel like I have. But he was a huge fan of that book before we even got to read The Mean Ones and even have you on the show. So I feel like sometimes, like Adam, you did a really good job with the introduction and with pronouncing her name, I think, correctly. But normally when you're fangirling out this hard, sometimes you're like, can you do it? Because I'm just too nervous, you know? So, but yeah, we're so pleased to have you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. That's so sweet that you guys loved my first book. And you did get my name right. So,
Oh,
yeah,
Good,
good.
good job.
good.
Look,
I was gonna
I
have,
am not gonna say that I was not on your profile saying it multiple times today, so thank you. You helped with that so much.
think you
It
C-type personality in the disc assessment.
yeah, but I wanted to say, man, what was it? Summer last, I forget when it was, but our friend Bridget, known as Weirder the Better on Instagram, she
Mhm.
had the movie
Mhm.
night, which was so much fun and just definitely I was already a fan, but that maybe even more so the moment you brought up Tom Servo. But we
Oh,
get to
it's over. That's awesome.
love some mystery science theater here. So
Yes.
Yes, Bridget's so cool. And I really had fun.
yeah, that was awesome. All right. So let's talk about some horror. So have you always been a horror fan? Is that something that's new to you or somewhere in between?
I've always been a horror fan. So, yeah. Uh, I first started watching horror movies when I was feeling it with my dad.
Awesome. Evil Dead was definitely a big influence for me as well.
Good. Yeah. It's so fun. I love like campy horror, and I love horror. I love all types of horror, but I especially love that horror gets away with not taking itself too seriously.
Yes.
Um, and I'm a big fan of fun horror, and I like never take myself too seriously when I'm writing
Yeah.
horror.
It's the best kind of horror because you can yeah. I was like, we ask this question every single time and almost everybody says goosebumps. So I'm taking it back. Or was that a formative thing for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved Goosebumps. Yeah, I actually just like wrote about that in a little essay that I was writing about why I love horror.
Okay, great. Well, which book was it for you?
The one that came to mind was the piano one, where it's like the pair of hands playing the
Yeah.
piano.
That's crazy. Like, I'm glad you said something. I'm like, everyone, I feel like says a lot of the same. So that's a new one. I like it.
Yes. Piano lessons can be murder.
Yes, that one. That was
It's
the
And
first one that came to mind.
were you a child that had to play an instrument and just it really related to?
Kind of, yeah. I did have to play instruments, and I did
Yeah.
not like.
I did too. My mom was like, "You will play an instrument from 4th grade to 6th grade for 3 years. If you want to stop, then." I was like, "Well, then fuck it. I'm playing the drums. So
Yeah.
I don't even have to learn how to read music." Like I was so I was like, "I don't even." And now I look back and I'm like, "Man, I really squandered that." But yeah, it was just
Yeah.
that having to be forced. So I can really see how piano lessons could be murder.
Yeah. I want to go back because like you immediately like piqued my interest when you're like, I love horror that doesn't take itself too seriously, can get away with things. And I'm like, that's interesting because both of your books scared the shit out of
Yes.
me.
Yeah. Look, that's her preference of what she likes
Yeah,
to read,
I
not what
hear
she's going to
you.
produce.
No, I just, I think both of your books tapped into maybe like very personal fears of mine, for one,
Masks.
between doppelgangers and yes, people.
That's Tatiana, that's what he kept saying. I fucking hate doppelgangers. They creep me out so bad. They creep me out and I'm like, okay, how have we been married this long? And I didn't know you were like
Because
that
I don't
uncomfortable.
share that
I
information in
know.
case someone uses it against me.
Yeah, you really were disturbed.
Yeah. Well, I want to say it's interesting because Rebecca listened to, we got the audio for the Mean Ones, and Rebecca listened to it
Mhm.
that way. And I, read the ebook. And it's just interesting how we both, had similar but different experiences with it. And just, I think when I look back on this on the mean ones. There's one scene in particular, and I've talked about it a lot, that I think is just one of like the all-time horror scenes for me, which involves, the cabin invasion is all I'll say. And it's
Hmm.
just so like seared into my mind. Like I just have to ask, like, when you were writing that one, were you like, this is a good one? Like this is good what I'm getting writing here. And was there any particular inspiration for like that section of the book?
Were
Yeah,
you a fan
that's
of
a good
Misery?
question.
No.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I don't take myself too seriously until I dip into like the real horror parts. And I think that's also what's like disarming about it is that it's like a fun romp along the road, and then all of a sudden it's serious, and now it's
Mhm.
really scary because the reader's been having like such a good time all along. Like that's at least what I hope I'm achieving. And it sounds like that was working for you here. If we're talking about the same scene, yeah, that cabin invasion. Yeah, I did. First of all, I will say that I was like really struggling to write the mean ones. And I was like, if I just make it to the cabin invasion, it'll all
That's
be worth it.
awesome.
Wow. Wow.
And so that was probably, yeah, it was like really hard to write this book and get to that point. And then when I got to that point, I was like, oh, I'm having so much fun writing this. Like it's so scary.
It is.
Uh it's so bizarre.
It is.
The tension is so high.
It is.
It did feel like I was like it was worth it. The whole grind to get there.
Yeah.
And do you think, like, was it just really personal? Like, what do you think was it that was so hard to write?
Oh, just like logistically, like juggling
Gotcha.
the two like juggling the two timelines,
Right.
like just building up so much of the book. Like not a lot happens in the first half. Like there's so much setup. It was just like hard to put all those pieces into place when I hadn't even written the payoff yet.
I think it builds really,
Oh,
really
yeah.
nicely. I wouldn't have known that you had any. I mean, it came out super smooth. Like sometimes I feel like I get really lost when there's two timelines or sometimes three timelines, like with some of these. I'm
Mhm.
like, God, like, am I stupid? Like, why can't I keep this straight?
Mhm.
I never felt like that the whole time. I felt like it was so smooth and really fun to like go back and forth. Like sometimes you're liking one timeline more than the
Mhm.
other, and you're like, oh shit, now we're back to this. I never felt
Yeah.
like that either.
Yeah, I'm so glad because I really feel that way when I read too. Like I get really distracted in multiple timelines. I get bored and lost in multiple timelines easily. And so I was like really for me to write it, I had to be really hyper focused on like what was keeping me interested in each timeline
Yeah,
and making sure that I was switching right at the right moment to keep myself
yeah.
interested in writing. Because if I
Well,
get bored writing,
you,
I'm not going to finish
then you're
it.
done. It's done for.
Well, and then I'm
Yeah.
sure you're thinking if I'm bored writing it, then
Yeah,
the reader,
that's true,
Yeah.
right? Well, Adam, you were looking at me when I said, like, did you like Misery? You're like, what does that have to do with it? And I'm like, because it's a cabin.
Is
Yeah,
Misery
yeah,
in
the
a cabin?
cabin.
I feel like she wasn't it? Or was it a
It's
house?
like an isolated cabin
They're
Yeah.
setting.
isolated. Okay,
Yeah.
but they're isolated or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking about
Uh,
what's that of the book that we read, Anya Alborn's? They're
Uh,
like they're snowed in, and it's
right.
in like a. I like that book a lot too, but she didn't. I mean, Tatiana took it to a whole other
Yeah.
level.
And I think it's interesting because it reminds me of some of my favorite movies. I'm thinking of like even like Memento or Usual Suspects, where it has like these moments at the end where everything kind of before it are perfect getaways.
I love that
And I think
movie.
that it's one of those things where it's like
mhm.
when that ending pays off, and it does
Oh
so well
yes.
here, that I think that like it just makes everything fit into like this
Yeah,
puzzle.
it was one of those moments in like a thriller book where you're like, I know this is a horror book, but I'm saying like
Hmm.
for people that where you're like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And then you look backwards at everything, you're like, no shit,
Yeah,
that's
it's like, oh yeah.
crazy.
So
Well, what I liked about
Yeah.
the two timelines too, just to like say real quick that what I think works so well is he built so much angst in the main character. I mean, her anxiety and the way she talked in her head,
mm,
and you're just like, whoa, like where did this come from? You're super invested, and then when you go back, crazy shit's happening. So
yeah.
it's like they're both just going so
Hmm.
good that you just kept. I felt like this running. I know you're saying you're doing a lot of setup, but it by no means. I basically looked down at the audio. I'm like, how am I this far in already? Like
Hmm.
I was locked
I
in.
think I finished it in a night too, like the book,
I
like
think you
reading.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, this is so, so good. And then I saw that you did that little video with wearing the mask because I was listening to Like, this
Re-traumatized
is
me.
so good, but now I'm like, yeah, I know. Maybe I was just done. I don't know. But anyway, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, no, no. This is also great to hear, and it's great feedback because exactly how you read the book is what I intended. And when I'm writing, I'm always thinking about, like where would I lose the reader and like what can I cut and like how can I keep the pacing of this tight. I like a very agile, fast read. I
Yes.
don't like to waste the reader's time. I don't want to waste my own time. Like I know what story I want to tell, and I'm very adamant that I tell it efficiently.
Well, that makes me a super fan because I like that.
Well, it's funny because I heard you or read a post something about Such Lovely Skin saying how you kind of wrote it with reluctant readers or people that maybe don't read a
Mhm.
ton in mind. And I think that it definitely does, do that where there's a lot of really good psychological depth and things that are going on. But at the same time, even when that's going, the story is moving. There's no like sitting around doing nothing. And I can
Mhm.
definitely see how that's a focus for you, and it definitely works in both books for sure.
Well, I mean, you think about our attention spans now, and we're so used to like, even an ad that used to be okay for,
Mhm.
a minute or whatever. You're like, no, I'll take a 5-second ad now. Like it's just so I feel like with reading, I wonder, how have you thought about how you have to adjust as someone that's writing as our like maybe our minds and brains have changed in a post-COVID world?
Yeah, I do think about attention spans, and I think about my own and how I'm,
Yeah.
like, steadily losing my own attention span.
That's me in the corner losing my attention
Yeah.
span. Like it
Yeah.
changed the word for the that's my losing my religion. It's me losing my
Yeah, yeah,
attention
yeah.
Yeah.
span.
I got it, totally, and yeah, that is how I feel, and it is scary. I try not to think about that too much as I'm writing, like, how attention spans are worsening. I think what I've achieved with, like, trying to keep the pacing fast is enough. But, yes, when I set out to write horror, my goal, like in that post I made about Such Lovely Skin, absolutely was I want to connect with reluctant readers. I want to write the book that can help pull someone out of a reading slump or make someone who thinks that they don't like
Mhm.
reading realize that they do enjoy reading.
Mhm.
Um, and so that still has and continues to be my goal with my work.
I think writers like you give the opportunity to people that say, I don't like to read books, like I can't do it. I think that you give them the opportunity to be like, I can do it because
Hmm.
it's enjoyable. And that's not to say that every writer doesn't have its own point and it's okay to be a different kind of writer for every different reader. You know what I mean? Whatever that is, but it's nice. Both of our kids this weekend, it's like trying to get them to finish a book is really hard. And having that faster paced read and not like you're saying, not wasting the time. And I know that they're 12 and 16 right now, but it doesn't really matter. I think it's if you're an adult and you're just like,
Hmm.
I'm not a reader, or I can't do that. I just can't seem to stay with it. I can't finish it. I'm not engrossed enough. And that's really a lot of times we'll be like, okay, how do you get someone into the horror genre that, you know, is averse to reading it? But I think if you give them a book like this where it's like they're gonna go and enjoy it, it's like, okay, I'll take another one and I'll take another one. You know what I mean? It like facilitates this block that they think that this identity of I can't read to all of a sudden, actually, I really do like it.
I hope so. And probably one of the most rewarding experiences of this last year since I debuted was someone like reaching out to me and saying like I have not read a book since like freshman year of high school and I've read Such Lovely Skin in 2 days and I loved it.
Wow.
And that was huge for me. Like yeah, having those
Yeah. What a
connections. Like
compliment.
a handful of people told me that yeah, it was the first book that they read since like they had to in school, and that they really enjoyed it.
So we're not
I
alone
think
in devouring it.
no, definitely not everyone had that reaction, but like more like people did and like that's all I wanted. Like it's been enough for me that just like a few people had that experience.
Yeah.
I think part of what drove me to want to write that sort of way, the like fast pace grabs the reader immediately, was slogging through books in college that I didn't want to read and that my professors were like adamant that like this is real literature, this is good literature, and it's like some 1,000-page tome
Yeah.
with no plot. And so when I started writing, I was like, I want to write the opposite of what I was forced to read and what I was like told was high literature.
Yeah.
Um,
She's talking to
I'm
the right
gonna
person with
tell
you.
I'm gonna tell like important stories and like still get at something human and deep, but packaged in this fun,
Yeah.
gripping way.
Love that. You know, Adam, like you've read so much of these giant, giant books for
Well, we probably
pleasure.
had the same college experience.
Yeah, but
I
you
went,
liked it all
yeah.
and you would read it all and you could do it all. But
Yeah, you certainly understand. You understand maybe like if you're studying critical, whatever, that why you're reading certain things. But when it
Hmm.
comes to like trying to get, if what you want to do is to get people reading, those books will do the opposite every time, right?
mm,
Hmm.
So, when you said getting to like the psychological depth and this, that really like made me think both of these main characters have so much trauma. And, I think a lot of people can relate to that, unfortunately. But like, I think that within this sort of, really, like you said, like a really fun horror story, you really do get into the depth of, anxiety, fear, especially in Such Lovely Skin. I'm thinking about just the deep seated guilt that Viv walks around with for this whole book. What was sort of the impetus for that to build this story around?
Yeah. Well, I've always been interested in guilt as a theme. I kept writing this like really bad short story in undergrad about a woman who left her baby in the car,
Mm,
like in a hot summer. And I
mhm.
kept reading articles about that. The story was not good. And I probably had like no right to be trying to tell that story. But I kept coming back to that theme of like, how do you go on living after you've done something horrible?
mm,
And I was also, I mean, I still am obsessed with that movie, Stay Alive. And so I was thinking about these two
yeah.
different things. Evil video game, unimaginable guilt. What if these two things overlapped?
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking about using the horror, like using the external, like the evil video game, to elevate the internal horror. And so that's how I ended up making her a streamer and why I went with that, because I was like, the stakes are so much higher if Vivian's gaming is public and she's obsessed with her public appearance, then she has so much more to lose. Yeah.
No, I love that. And then this idea that, she really has not shared this deeply horrible story. And she thinks that she's found a sort of almost like a safe place to be able to do it. And then it turns out to be the exact opposite, was a really interesting like exploration of that guilt even further.
Mhm.
I think that when you're talking about guilt, like how do you live on? And a lot of times I've heard like you're supposed to read outside of your genre to keep. But if you ever want to look at something that explores the guilt that what the river is wide with Wally Lamb or how's the name of the book? Oh my gosh, I have to look it up. I'd like
Wally
to.
Lamb's latest book. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'll get the rating. I mean, it tells you at the very beginning, like acts over his son, toddler,
Mm. Mhm.
and it so like really explores. And I just feel like if people you playing with that of deep things, like I was like I don't know where this book's going,
Hmm.
and like when you're looking at that kind of stuff, and even in the mean ones, of
Hmm.
like just she has such tremendous guilt and
Survivor's guilt.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's another thing that people really
Hmm.
struggle with many, many times. I feel like guilt is such complex. Like it's multiple emotions rolled into one.
Hmm.
Like you really can't label it as one thing. Like we say guilt, but it's often like it could be embarrassment, regret, anger,
Mhm.
sadness. I mean, there's so many things that come up to make it what it is, guilt. I should have known better, just like all kinds of stuff that, and it's, you can see why it's so heavy and how you can play with that and tease it out in the book.
Yeah. I think that is what definitely interested me with the guilt. It can be many things, can take many forms, and can be like processed differently by different people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
amazing me how I feel like some people never feel guilt.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
I
then
was
like
just
other
thinking
people
that.
just like I leave a store like putting my hands up to be like, I swear to God, I didn't take anything.
Yeah.
I just didn't like anything in your store. I
Mhm.
didn't.
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
guilty a lot.
Right. Right. And I think, yeah, I think that the exploration of like a lot of times people that do naturally feel guilty, there's usually some kind of reason earlier in life that maybe that comes. And I think that, while not explicitly like in the books always, you kind of get the taste of that, for the ways that certain things behave. I wanted to ask, for such lovely skin, having this base of like a person that has this sort of like unexposed feeling of guilt, and then using the doppelganger as your main sort of villain, that doesn't seem like there was unintentional or an accident. So like I love that, the way that you use that, but then also the doppelganger is just scary as hell. And you create all of these really fun sort of set pieces of like, oh, I talked to you. Oh, you weren't there, all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
were you thinking about that? Like how to use that, to sort of mirror her and her guilt and that kind of stuff as you were deciding like where the threat was going to come from?
Yeah. Before I started drafting, I was just like, all I had really in my mind was evil video game protagonist with guilt. And then I watched the Outsider adaptation on HBO,
Uh,
where I think it's Jason Bateman's being tormented
Mhm.
by a doppelganger.
yes.
And it kind of clicked for me. I was like, this is what's missing from that book idea I'm playing around with. Like, the demon needs to be more intentional. And I was like,
Mm.
well, she really cares about her social media presence. And like, what better way to attack her than to have a doppelganger that's like using her appearance against her?
It's
And so it
really
really just
genius.
came together for me to probe Vivian's darkest fears of like being exposed, not being liked, being caught in her lies.
Yeah.
I've been a liar myself. Having grown up with really strict parents,
Mm,
I had to be very sneaky and very good at lying. And so like getting caught in your lies is definitely a massive fear. And so I thought it would be good to have that doppelganger.
yeah, I love that. And it's interesting how both books kind of, the protagonist has a very sort of specific niche hobby or thing that they do, and how much that kind of shows their character and kind of the things that they're going through. Like you said, in Such Lovely Skin, it's about her appearance and all this kind of stuff. And then in the Mean Ones, obviously she is a weightlifter, and sort of this idea of trying to find strength and that kind of thing, I think is really really cool too. And I think that like, obviously your social media presence, you're the buff writer, like we know that you lift weights too. But like I think that the way you tied it in did not seem like, oh, I want to talk about this thing that I really like. It really added to her character so much.
Absolutely.
Well, good. I'm so glad because it's funny you say that because I read all the reviews and
Yeah.
I have seen a couple that are like unnecessary gym content, like author just self-inserting herself for no reason.
Really? I didn't feel like that at all because like I didn't connect whether or not it's right or not. I didn't connect the buff writer with like
Yeah.
that. Okay. Thank you, Adam, for pointing it out about the lifting. But
Well, I mean, I
what
think it adds the
I get
like
it,
the authenticity that you know what you're talking about, but like there is a very
I'm
like,
just
yeah.
saying that by the time I was done reading it, I was like, I think I want to lift weights more often.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm going to go get my Converse
Mhm.
and start working on a routine here of like, why shouldn't I be lifting weights? Like, cause it is so like, I mean, to me, exercise is such a private time and it's like you get to be in your own head and just like
Hmm.
have this really feel good moment. I know a lot of people like for years I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. But now it's like, it's such a pleasure to be able to do it. Like you just got to find the type of exercise that you like. But lifting weights,
Hmm.
it's like, it's so solitary and quiet and just like, racking the things and just like I think a lot of times I get intimidated, like, what if I hurt myself? Or, what am I even doing this right? Do I have the right form? Whatever. But I loved how regimented she was and just wanting to go do that. And I don't know how many other books have a female weightlifter in it. So
Mm.
it just having done it before, I was like, oh, I need to go back into that. Like, I really actually had a great time doing that. So it was fun to me that she had that. I didn't like think about you were inserting yourself.
Well, I'm so glad, first of all, that it inspired you. Yeah, I did resist the temptation to just like use the book as like my gym and exercise propaganda. I felt I was making a very intentional choice of telling the story of a woman who's externally strong but very interior weak.
Yes.
And that's where I was very interested. And also using the exercise as escapism. I
It
knew
was
that
just,
this
yeah.
character,
Yes.
yeah, needed a routine to keep herself normal. I mean, she says that like 10 times in
Yeah.
the first half of the book.
But it literally, um, shuts your brain up. It's like
Mhm.
turns the thoughts off. And I know, like, I had listened years ago saying like you can't like be anxious and walk at the same time. Like there's like something that switches or whatever. But with the exercise, and I think that's why I actually like it now is because I didn't realize how much anxiety I had struggled with. And like
Mhm.
I feel like I have a good medication and things, but like if you'll see sometimes like on my from the reader's account nest versus the horror pod, I'm like, I'm out taking a walk for my stupid mental health and
Yeah.
like, and I know I have to do it because I just have those days where it requires movement and it helps. And so I can see like for someone who has as much pain and guilt and trauma as she does, to have that routine in the gym and that sense of control is it's such a healthy outlet versus,
Mhm.
lots of other choices.
Hmm.
But no, I think like it just makes so much sense because it's like you can do hard things. If she wanted to punish herself that day, she could by lifting heavier or worse, or but it's like at the same time, it puts out this idea of I'm strong and I have control. And what I eat,
Mhm.
what I put in my body, I've already calculated my macros the night beforehand. And by no means do I have a fit body. I don't. I'm just saying like I enjoy privately exercise. Oh, that sounds weird. Privately exercise. I enjoy exercise and the alone time
I
and the
prefer
like.
publicly exercising. I generally go out.
Yeah, yeah. I felt like I was saying like masturbation. I
Oh
didn't
God.
mean that. Like I was basically saying like I think that there's something to it, and I can see why someone could really seek solace and just like a sense of just really feeling empowered when you don't feel empowered. I remember when we were
Mhm.
buying our house right now that we lived in, like I would go to the gym to like ride the recumbent bike because I was so full of anxiety of like, are the inspections gonna turn out and what's gonna happen with this and that? And I would come home and stress eat. Like it was not even about losing weight or anything. I was just like, I have to burn off this nervous energy because I was driving myself crazy. And so I just love how my opinion towards exercise has changed now.
Hmm.
And I can see how this character is like, this is my healthy place. This is my happy place.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that is an interesting word that you used, like privately exercising. Yeah, I think it's like it's the one thing that you can do that's just for you, and like you only have the one body. Like it's truly
Mhm.
to benefit yourself, like mentally and physically.
Yeah. And especially like when you're Adam and I during COVID, he did the 75 hard and
Mm.
he completed it. And I tried to do it with him and it just didn't work for me, but I joined as many times as I could. I kudos and shout out to him because that was really hard for anybody who's ever done that. And but I could tell, like, do you remember Adam? We'd be walking, you have to walk for 75 hard, you have to have at least one exercise outside, and you have to do at least 45 minutes, and you have to have two workouts a day.
Hmm.
And so we would be like walking or hiking, and I'd be like, oh shit, it's got to be like 18 minutes right now because I'm feeling really sweaty and grumpy. And then it would be like, next thing you know, it would be like, oh, we must be close to about 10 minutes from being, done because it'd be like 30, 32 minutes in. And all of a sudden I'd be like, we don't have to stop at
Yeah,
45 minutes.
it's
We
gonna
can
go
keep
forever.
going. And it was
Mhm.
just like, we did it so often that I just could tell I didn't even need to look at the watch to see, or, the phone stopwatch to see where we were at because my body and then afterwards was like, when, when is the second exercise? When do we get to go again?
Mhm.
coming from someone who was overweight like their entire adult life. And I'm just saying, like, to see how you're right. It's so personal. It's just such a wonderful alone time, like in your head to just be like, I am so calm. And I think that was the first time in my life that I was ever like, I'm away from anxiety right now. Who knew it could be this quiet?
Right, totally. And I think that's so important and like necessary for Sadie. Like she has to have that, which is why she's spiraling when they take
Yeah.
her
So I'm
away
just
from
saying to
that.
any listeners, if you struggle with bad anxiety and you think that exercise isn't for you, it is. Like, find something, try something. But I'm telling you, it is the best like antidote for anxiety. Whether you're using music or whatever it is, it's just like it's so. And that's the other thing. I think that's why I read so much now is it's that second like internal world where I'm just quiet and I'm cocooned and everything's controlled and it's like, oh, it's so much
Mhm.
peace. Like, I don't think I realized how dysregulated I was. And so that's why it's like I love to read so much now too, because it's obviously everything's written, but it's like this tranquility. My Zoloft does
Yeah,
one part and then the reading does the other part. You know what I mean?
that's a perfect balance. Yeah, for all of your listeners, I'm so open to talking about exercise. Like if anyone wants to DM me or like has questions about getting started, I'd love to point you in the right direction. And like all movement is great exercise. Walking, swimming, any of it, like it's good for you. I'm addicted to my walking pad just 'cause like in winter and stuff and like with deadlines, I don't always have time to go lift crazy weights. And so I'll put my laptop on my standing desk and just like walk on the walking pad and do my work there. And it's like my body starts to rot when I sit at the desk hunched over
Yeah, it
typing all
does.
day. Like my back and my hips and my
Yeah.
shoulders, like they ache and so just like standing up and walking for 20 minutes is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I need to get one of those. Our friend Alex for Cozy Couple of Geeks, like she's often on her walking pad, and I'm like, I gotta get one of those. But it is like I noticed for my desk job that I had recently. I mean, there was days I didn't even go over 500 steps because I was just
Mhm.
chained to like meeting after meeting after, so having like
Yeah.
a walking pad, but it felt like my mental health and just like all that wasn't. So I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say here is if you ever knew me before, I was like, absolutely hate exercise. Like, there's no exercise. Like, you're crazy. It doesn't matter what you tell me. But I really do think that if you find something where you don't have to hurt yourself, this is because you love yourself, because you want to feel good. So if you are not having a good time exercising, you didn't find the right choice or you're not finding the right thing because it is a zen perfect moment that you get to have for yourself during and after. I just encourage that, especially I think the reason I'm really like ramming this home today is because a lot of things are really hard right now. There's a lot of
Mhm.
things that are uncontrollables. And we often say that heart is the comfort to help control. And so I was, I'm serious. Like Zoloft does do one part, and me taking a shower helps with one part, water, and another part of reading and having good
Mhm.
friends, right? But all these things work together. And so, whether you're writing something or reading something, so I just think we all need to have a variety of different tools as we go through anything that we're dealing with in life, but especially like as, AI comes in and, maybe there's different like economical things, whatever it might be that you're just, okay, I'm trying to control some of these things. And this is an additional tool that I think you should be open to.
Right. Totally.
I think it's interesting, it's sort of like adjacent to this that we're talking about hobbies in general. And I think it's interesting because, both of these books are the character, I kind of hate the like genre or like the label of YA because I feel like, they're adults. It's like I think when we think of YA, we like at least my generation, you think of like teen books.
I do.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I think that it's interesting, both of these books are sort of that cusp of adulthood or early adulthood and things like that. And I think that, as kids and teens and stuff like that, we're like told to like embrace hobbies and like find those things. But I think like the moment you hit like an adult, it's like hobbies are dead. Like you're not like they're not like as much of a
Mm-hmm.
part of your life. And love how in both of these books, like the characters maybe have like at some points like an almost unhealthy relationship with hobbies. But then
Mhm.
as part of the process, as the stories go on, they kind of correct those at the same time too, especially in Such Lovely Skin, where like the game, could almost be seen as part of what caused the guilt, that she had. But like ultimately, the game and having that hobby and having those interests is not a bad thing. And in fact, can be a really healing and good thing, and the same thing for Sadie and the Mean Ones. It's like, this hobby can be also something that channels her trauma and those things in a healthy way that helps her too. So I
Mhm.
just think that that's a really like good lesson for any
Mhm.
like especially like young person, young adult to know that it's like when you find something that makes you feel good, that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
It could be drug, and it's not.
No,
I mean,
So
yeah, I think it's
good.
the like anything can be bad for you like when it's too much or it's too obsessive.
Mhm.
And so that's part of the journey of the characters, right? It's like they feel this unhealthy need, like I have to do this thing to have self-worth. And part of the story is like them rediscovering their own self-worth. So like they get to enjoy the hobby still, but they don't need the hobby.
That's really cool.
mm,
It's like they move from dependence to interdependence, or just
mhm.
like
Mhm.
a balanced relationship,
Yeah.
which is good. I was gonna like pick on you, Adam, and say like, did you find yourself in these
Well, that
characters?
that is why I'm saying that, right?
Yeah,
So yeah.
like our second child driving home from the hospital. Well, no, it was day 2 where you have to take your baby back in and get the checkup. And yeah, I'm just gonna swing by here and get my comics from my
Mhm.
box. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, I've just had a cesarean. It is so
Mhm.
hard to get out of the house. And he's like, I
Yeah.
gotta get these comics.
Yeah.
I think that you have a really healthy relationship with your stuff now.
Yeah.
But no, I
No,
feel,
it definitely is
but it
like
was like
when it
that.
becomes like a
It was,
replacement for real life
yes,
instead of something that
Mhm.
enhances and adds to it, right?
exactly. And I love that, like with our reading and doing this
Mhm,
podcast together and things, like we get to enjoy ourselves. And well, sometimes we just sit in a room separately. And I mean, like we're in the same room, but most nights like and it still feels really nice.
mhm,
But we've found like our own track to, and sometimes we'll like listen to an audiobook like as a date night on like a Friday night when it's really cold in the winter, and we'll just like both play games on our phone or color or draw or something. But we've learned how to make it less like solitary.
Mhm.
So I'm not like bitchy and grumpy about being like, are you freaking kidding me? You're getting comics, whatever, you know. Um, postpartum's a hard thing.
yeah. So, wanted to say congratulations on your own recent nuptials. Do you guys have, shared hobbies and things like that too that you guys do together?
Yeah, I was as you guys were talking, I was just thinking about how, yeah, my husband and I, we play video games in the same room. A lot of times we play, co-op games or like multiplayer games. We go to the gym together sometimes. Yeah, we try to go on like walks together. We go swimming together.
Hmm. Do you guys live together?
Do we
Lift,
lift?
yeah,
Yeah.
lift weights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I
is that
mean,
just like
yeah.
a just you
I
thing?
I do it more than he does, but he definitely can lift and is very strong. He got a new job, so he's not doing it as much.
Got it.
But
You
yeah,
like, you bench press him for pleasure. That's what I'm hearing.
we try to lift together at least like once a week, once every 2 weeks. Yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
The couple that lifts together stays together, right?
Absolutely. And games
Yeah.
together.
And
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam, one of our favorite things where it was like always the first week in January, we would just
Mhm.
get out
Play Mario. Yeah.
and just
Mhm.
try to
Mhm.
beat the game together. We would do
Yeah.
that every year. Of
Mhm.
like we've beaten it many times, but it was like it was such a bonding thing. And I think it was because we felt like we were friends, like just kids
Mhm.
being like the never ending sleepover. And I
Yeah.
always loved that.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you that the covers of both of your books
I was about to
are,
say the same
no,
thing.
you
I
were not.
definitely
No,
was. I
I know. We're
spoke to
always thinking the same, but listen,
them.
the color scheme for Such Lovely Skin and the texture of the book and the drawings with the middle part and just like the blue black hair and the hair just falling all over the controller, like gorgeous. And then the Mean Ones, I mean, just her split down the center, and I thought it was just like deer antlers that were coming out of her eyes. But then, like, after I was like listening to the book, I'm like, oh shit, those are fingers with nails, like, that aren't just deer. So I was
Mhm.
like, that's really cool. But it's like pinkishly purple, and it's like, what is happening here? It looks so, so good. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for anybody that's like trying out books, I'm sorry, but we are judging a book by its cover,
Yeah.
and you nailed it for both of those. Like, the moment that I saw the Me One's cover, I was like,
I need this.
I need this. I have to read it. And
So you always ask how much control
input.
or input did
I'm
you
always
have in both?
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lot of control and input. So for Such Lovely Skin, the publisher pretty much they sent me like a concept that was pretty close to what ended up being the final concept. And so I was just really happy with the direction. I had some input, like we went with the PS4 controller that's like underneath the head. That was like, well, make sure she has blue highlights or like blue in her hair. That's Vivian's
Hmm.
Mhm.
look.
It's like Haley.
Yeah, I suggested the computer blue background. And so yeah, but they really came together with a lot of the concept. And Tess Hamilton is the artist. If you follow her Instagram, she's fantastic and
I will
posts
now.
amazing art.
Even like the
Yeah.
placing of your name on the
I
cover,
know
like
it.
it's just so
I
good.
know it. I'm telling you, it just sucks you in. I love it. I just love feeling this book too.
Yeah. And then how about the
I
mean
think
one?
I oh, I was gonna say, I think I asked them to put that little red recording dot
Oh,
next
did
to
you?
my name.
I
I
really
Yeah.
love
love it.
it.
Yeah, because I don't think that was there in the first concept that they sent me. Anyway, the mean ones, yeah, this cover is really cool because I pretty much like I didn't make it, but like I found Jocelyn. Her handle is Crumbs and Gubs, and she's amazing on Instagram. I found the art that she does. I found one of her paintings of a woman who's looking up, and I was like, what if we took this
Nice.
and we put antlers in her eyes? And then so my publisher emailed Jocelyn and was like, can we commission this art and can you do this thing that our artist or our author wants? And I made this like hideous Canva mock-up where I did an embarrassing sketch of my vision, and then Crumbs and Gubs made it happen. She brought it to life. And then, you know, the designer at Creature came up with the pink, and we looked at like different colors. We looked at this cover like green on black. We looked at it as like blue. We decided that we like this pink and purple because it captures that like girlhood vibe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is such like a feminine rage story.
It
Mhm.
is. And it's that trope that they were talking about this weekend after we went to Spooktastic of good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. The good for her vibes. So the
Guys, yeah.
pink just felt, yeah, just felt very on brand with the good for her vibes. And I also like how it's that bright color that,
Mhm.
yeah, I think looks good with Such Lovely Skin.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, they're definitely display
They
books
are
for
display
sure.
books 100%. Like, you'll be like,
Yeah, so we
oh,
can't wait because we, did the pre-order so we get all the swag and all this stuff that's
hell
gonna come with
yeah.
it.
Thank you.
So, it might be depending on when this comes out, too late. Sorry, you get to look at mine on Instagram and how nice it looks. But
So, Adam, question for you. Did you see the video I'm talking about where she has a
yeah, it's
mask on and
scary as fuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask this is okay, so I'm gonna set this up.
Okay.
So we're engaged. We are not married yet.
Well, yes, we are. We've been
It
married.
is
Oh,
your
you mean you're going back in time? Okay.
And I don't know at this point that he doesn't really like surprise parties. I'm just trying to be so
Mm,
thoughtful. And so I say to my mom, like, hey, to surprise him, I'm like, can I throw a surprise party? His birthday's in October. I was like, let's have it around a campfire. I go to like Dollar Tree and I get all these like different masks that are just like $1 each at this time, and I'm like, I invite all these people, it's kept quiet, whatever. So Adam shows up and you have to kind of like walk down the backside of the house to get to like the fire pit where it's at. And I have everybody have their masks on. And I don't realize I created like this horror scene. And we're all like, happy birthday, surprise. And he's just like,
Yeah, I thought I
not
walked in on a
smiling.
cult that was about to murder me.
He's
Is
not
essentially what.
smiling. He's not having any fun. My whole feelings are so hurt. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what? Why would you behave like this?
Yeah.
Sort of thing of like someone threw you a surprise party. And eventually the people take off the mask and he's like warming up to it. it took you like a week later to be like, that was really nice of you. Thank you. But I did not realize how terrified you were of
Yeah.
like masks and the things.
Well,
Like, so I basically created a horror scene birthday thing, which
Which I should have liked when I think
I
about it,
feel
but
like now you can appreciate it. But in the
I
moment,
was afraid for my life
you were
for a while.
really upset. Really like, why the fuck would you do this to me? How did you get all these people here? I'm like, they are your friends. Like, they wanted to come, but you
that's so
hated it.
funny. He probably thought he was about to be sacrificed. It's like a
I
scene
really
out of
think
the
you
mean
did.
one.
And they weren't like even cool masks. They were like what, like pumpkins or
I don't
ghosts
even
or Franks.
remember.
I don't know. It wasn't anything cool like what you have one in
Mhm.
yours. So if you want me to do that for your birthday coming up, I can find a time to
I'm
like
good,
get a maybe she can ship it to
No,
me.
that
And
I'm good.
but I just thought that was so funny that I stepped right in. And now, like as I say that back to you, I'm like, that is terrifying. Why would you do that to someone, Rebecca? Like, I don't know, but I thought I was being really loving.
Well,
You didn't shit your pants too bad
no, not too bad. It ended up working out. We're still here. So,
though.
I wanted to ask real quick right before I'm going to talk about like your future here because I know book 3 is already
Oh, I'm
been
excited.
announced and everything. But wanted to ask, I absolutely love the magic cards that you designed for these books.
Oh,
That you have.
hmm
Like, where did that come from? The idea for like, obviously, I'm assuming you play Magic. I love Magic too, but like, I just love how they look and like the different things that you put on there and everything. Like that must just be so fun.
Yeah, they are really fun. I guess, yeah, it just came about from my love of Magic. And whenever I'm playing, you're like waiting for your opponent to take their 5-minute turn. I like end
Yeah.
up studying the art and like the flavor
uh-huh.
text. And so just like, looking at some book covers, I started to think that looks like a Magic card. Especially
Oh,
when you see these like really cool like fantasy covers. They have like a creature or something as the focal point. So then I just got the idea to, yeah, like make mock-up cards to post on Instagram. And yeah, people already make their own Magic cards for like other reasons. I figured why not? And it has been so fun to like read a book and start thinking about, what powers it would have,
That's
like based on
awesome.
the plot.
yeah, it's so cool. So I love that. So yes, is there anything you would like to tease out for or tell us about book 3 that you have coming out? Obviously,
Yeah.
we are waiting with bated breath.
You need an ARC reader. We're
we
available.
Yeah, I'll definitely get you guys an arc. It'll be sometime in like the new year, so still
yeah.
a while. But
Yeah.
what feeds below? Yeah, it's a horror
What
fantasy.
did you say?
And
What feeds below?
what feeds below is
Well,
the
The
that is.
title.
title.
I am. Wow. How evocative.
Um,
Go on.
and yeah, it's upper YA slash like adult crossover. And it was very much inspired by the Descent, and then the world building of the anime Made in Abyss,
Oh my
about
god.
these two
My jaw's
teenage
dropped right now.
girls who explore this massive layered pit full of treasure and monsters, and they give tours to rich people. I was very interested in like
Hell
Everest
yeah. Oh,
and
I'm so in.
getting paid to like hike up tens of thousands of miles into the sky. But instead of that, you're paying to get a tour deep down underground. Yeah, so lots of claustrophobia. It's a cave.
Lots of good things can happen during this time.
And by good, we mean
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah, I'm a very, very claustrophobic person, and I can already tell by the way you write, I'm going to be deeply uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, probably. I can't wait for you to read
Yeah,
it.
probably. I'm going to message you, DM you, be like, why
Yeah.
would you do?
Well, the Descent, just saying that, like, as a comparison, it's like the trauma that movie caused. I can't
hmm
wait to see you in what you can do with monsters and things in a tight space, and hopefully, if you're saying it's given towards the rich people, there might be some social commentary there as well,
That's what I'm
maybe.
Yeah,
looking forward to.
of course. Yeah, it's a super fun book.
Sounds like giving towards the rich people counts as exercise too if you're climbing so far down or up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
very strenuous.
Both emotionally, mentally, and
Yeah,
Yes.
physically.
exactly.
But no, I love that you offered to help people. I saw on the inside of your book, you're like, you always will talk. You love to consult. So reach out
hmm
if you feel like you resonated with this and you're trying to work on your anxiety, or you just want to feel good and love yourself, Tatiana's available. Please pick up her books because, like we said, they're beautiful to display. But I promise you, you will have a very delightful read with both of them. And
Yep.
you too might find yourself hating doppelgangers and the good for you of just like,
And
wow,
you really
that
shouldn't
shit.
go camping anyway. So
Yeah, you really shouldn't. And you should just really, I don't even want to say anything more about the
no,
mean
because
ones
it's
because it's just, they deserve to be as like,
yeah, they
no
need that
way.
WTF moments
I'm
too.
not
So
saying
yep.
anything. So I just want you to know I loved it, but you're one of those books that I have to tiptoe around.
Hmm.
And then also we got to meet Will from
Creature. Yeah.
Twisted Spine, and he's like, all right, well, I was like, tell me some of the books that you're putting. He's like, well, it's Such Lovely Skin. I was like, oh my God, Adam loves that book. He's obsessed. And
The
he's like,
mean
no
one. Yeah.
way.
Yeah. It was so funny because I
No,
walked.
he started with this because you
Yeah.
weren't sitting down yet.
No,
And I
I
was
know.
like,
I walked up and you were like, we're talking about the mean ones. And I was like, I love that book. Have you read it? And he's like, yeah, I'm putting it out, buddy. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
so
So
funny.
yes, you did.
Will and I just like hit it off that night. And so now I'm like, yeah, you're my best friend. And he's
Yeah.
like, I
My
emailed him
dearest
and
and
he's like,
oldest friend.
my dearest and oldest friend. So I would love to have him on, but he did such a good job of repping your books. But I mean, it was like that we already loved them.
Hmm.
But the way that he was just able to, as he says, like 4 or 5 sentences, be able to tell the book, like I think you have a
Yes.
good one on your team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love Will. He's fantastic and very good at his job.
Yes.
Very much so.
So Such Lovely Skin is out right now. If you haven't read it, what are you doing? Go get it.
Go get it.
The Mean One, September 30th. If you haven't pre-ordered it, what are you doing?
Get your swag.
And what feeds below? Is there any kind of rough idea of, is it going to be like this time next year?
Yeah, we're looking at October 2026 for release.
Perfect. Perfect.
Mm-mm-mm.
Awesome. Well,
It's
we'll
been a
have
real
to, yeah,
pleasure.
we'll have to have you back to
Yeah.
talk about that one for sure.
We would love
Yeah,
to.
I would love to. Yeah, this is so great. Thank you so much, you guys.
We
Oh,
had a
yeah.
wonderful
Yeah.
time. We just love to support awesome work like this and
Mhm.
love when we're like so impassioned about
Yeah.
something that someone writes and like not to just do it once but twice.
Mhm.
Like it was so much fun. I know you're going to do it a third time.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank
So,
you.
yes, well,
Oh, well,
you enjoy the
I
rest of your
appreciate
time.
you.
Yep, hopefully you can play some games.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
See you later.
See ya,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Yep. Have a good night. Bye.